Thanks for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. You can find us wherever you find podcasts or listen to music. When you have an opportunity, please give us a 5-star review, write a little note, tell us how we're doing. We really appreciate it. It helps us keep this thing going. If you want to reach out to us, you can find us at Facebook at Hidden Tracks. Instagram is at HiddenTracks99, and if you'd like to send in submissions or talk to us or give us any feedback about what we're doing, our email is myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy the show. What's up, everybody? I have Joe from the awesome band out of Leeds, UK, Beauty School. I've talked about them before. Found them during my deep dives in Bandcamp. First thing I did was order their records because I buy merch from bands who I like. So to help them instead of the no money they'll ever make from streaming songs. So I'm really excited to have Joe here today. How you doing, Joe?
I'm good, man. Thank you. And thanks for buying the record. I didn't realize you'd done that.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
The bundle with the EP vinyl.
Amazing. Oh, cool.
Yep. So that's as soon as I heard, I listened to the whole album on Bandcamp, and after I listened to it, I purchased it. So I was all in.
Bro, thank you so much. Appreciate that. The I think that EP, is it the pink? Yeah, that's. I think there's only maybe 100 of those as well. So.
Well, if hopefully got a couple left, so new fans can go and buy it real fast when they're done listening to this.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be fair, the EP that we don't have any of those, but there's plenty of albums left, plenty of happiness.
Awesome. Well, why don't you give us a quick story about how Beauty School came together?
Cool. So me and the rest of the band, we've been friends for. We went to university together back in like 2011, and that's where we started our first band then. And I think we were kind of certain that band was going to be the band that we were in forever. You know, like that was the band that was going to make it. We were all at music college, and it was like, this is the one. We're just gonna spend all our time doing this band. And we were kids, and then in like 2015 or 16, the band split up, and we kind of just decided, well, that's it now. We were all like in our mid-20s at that point. We should probably go and get real jobs and, actually be able to get our own spaces, because at the time we were all living in one like really small house together. And
You give up on your dreams real fast.
yeah, I mean, the UK is a brutal place, man. You've got you don't get too long to dream here. So yeah, I went, I did I obviously I'd finished my music degree, went and did a teaching degree, decided I was going to be a teacher, and the other guys went off and did their thing. And then it was kind of like, we'd been creating music for so long, even before that band, in high school and everything else. We not together because we didn't know each other then, but we were all individually in bands and musicians, and we'd been doing it for so long, I guess, that you just kind of can't switch that off. It's more like after a while of not doing it, you kind of ache for it, like for just for the sort of creative outlet side of it. So in 2019, most of us got back together and decided that we were going to just make music together without any sort of purpose or anything. It was kind of just like a social activity for us and an outlet. So we decided to do that. And then the lockdown happened over with the pandemic. I'm pretty certain the UK was locked down about the same amount of time as the US, about best part of 2 years. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had no shows to play. We couldn't play any shows, so we just wrote an album for absolutely no reason. And then we just pitched it out to our friends at Slam Dunk Records, and by the time we came out of lockdown, we were signed to a record label and we were about to put out an album. So it was just, I don't know, it's got to be the weirdest beginning of a band ever, because we had absolutely no intention of like taking this thing seriously at all. And then before we'd even played any real shows, we were signed and we were on an album deal with a label.
Well, I think if you don't take things seriously, right? I think there's a sort of a better approach when it comes to certain things like that, because of the simple fact that there's no pressure, right? You're just like, oh, we're just doing this to have fun. We're going to write a couple songs. We're going to have a good time. And that's what leads to sometimes the best success, is when you're not looking for it. It's just like when you lose something in your flat and you can't find it. When you do find it is when you stop looking for it. So
yeah, that's kind of how it felt. It was like, these things happen when you least expect it, because we've been wanting to do this stuff for all our lives since we were 15 years old, and then the moment that we gave up on it is the moment that it started happening.
yeah. Well, I mean, talking about doing it for your whole life, when you were a kid, what was it that music changes, right? Something grabs onto you, and that changes your outlook and your feelings on music. When you're a little kid, all you're hearing is whatever's playing in the background from parents or cartoon theme songs, right? And there's this moment usually for people that you hear something for the first time and you're completely changed because of music. Do you remember that as a kid, what you heard that completely changed you and wanted to drive you into the music business?
Yeah, I think, well, there's probably two instances in my life where that's happened. The first was when I was really young, when I was like 9 years old. So in the UK, that would be year 5. I don't know what grade that is or whatever in the US.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Yeah. So before that, my parents were not really very musical or anything, so I didn't grow up around a musical. Like, I didn't have any musical background, or there wasn't much music going on in my house. It was kind of just whatever was on the radio, which at the time was kind of like, I don't know, 90s pop music. And I had this school teacher in year 5 who he did like this whole term on the Beatles, and that I always credit that moment as the kind of moment that I realized like what music was, and like that people could kind of, that anybody could do it. You know, it was like you pick up a guitar and you have a friend who sits behind the kit, and you know, you can just jam songs out and create songs that way. And yeah, that was kind of like the birth of me realizing what actual music was, and kind of my that started my lifelong obsession with it, I guess. Um, but then I don't know, like when I was older, like a little bit older, like in my early teens, like maybe 14 years old, 13 years old. Um, I remember being on a bus home from, I don't know where, maybe home from school or something, and this kid was listening to the song 70 times 7 by Brand New, which I know Brand New's a touchy subject now. But
I think they were a touchy subject even when they created music, so don't worry about it.
yeah, but I just remember like hearing, because sort of until that point, I think what I used to listen to was kind of like Blink-182 and Green Day, really simple pop punk, I guess.
Yeah, it was also top 40 shit at that time too, right?
Yeah,
So,
and then hearing Brand New was kind of, I know they became like huge and everything else, but at that time they were kind of this underground band, but they were writing like kind of really pertinent lyrics, and I used to love writing lyrics. They were all, it was all crap, it was all shit when I was writing back then, but like just those lyrics kind of stuck with me, and that guided me into bands like Taking Back Sunday and Thursday, and that kind of emo like space that it was so prevalent at that time. And that was it. Then I was like, right, I just have to be in a band, and I just have to just do this sort of thing, because you know, before that point it was like there was a certain benchmark that you needed to be to kind of get anywhere, or you had to play music that was just really basic pop punk stuff.
mm-hmm.
And so that time for me, that kind of like, you know, what everybody looks back on so fondly now as the emo era, that was the thing that kind of gripped me and was just like, I need to be in a band. Like I really, really want to do this. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I saw something online. You guys were categorized, with the emo word. E is not a bad word. I'm, grew up in that. I'm first wave. I'm that old. So, and apparently, I saw that you guys were on this compilation on Spotify or whatever. It was fifth wave of emo, and I literally sat back in my chair and I was like, when the fuck did we get through the fourth wave? Like, what are these waves that are going on? That I'm like, and at the end of the day, for me, it's great fucking music, and this whole subgenre and categorization for playlists, right? To what playlist are you going to fall on?
Yeah.
With streaming, it kind of like after a while, I'll just make my own playlist, because it's like these are great bands. These are great songs. I don't think they fit in fucking anywhere. I think they stand on their own 2 feet and their own merit of what they're creating. And it kind of, for me, sometimes I feel like, well, why are you pigeonholing them for this? Because it's not only that. Listen to the lyrics, listen to the songs. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, there's mathy stuff in there's rock stuff, there's like all this, there's layers, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you're an emo band, and that's where we're going to leave you.
I mean, it happens to us all the time, but it just is. I think it always has been the way that the music industry works, but now it's kind of like even when I was a kid, you would pick up like Kerrang magazine. I guess you probably don't
Yeah.
have that over there.
No,
but,
we
like,
do. Yep.
oh, cool. Yeah. So like, and you when you find your new bands, it would be like for fans of, and it would always have like a couple of bands that this band sounded like, but they never really sounded like those bands. And it's the same now, but it's just with streaming, it's just so much worse. Like everything is compartmentalized now. Everything is so compartmentalized, and you have to actually, like, as a band who wants to get their streams up, you have to like really work hard at this playlisting thing, like trying to convince people to put on your playlist to get you on their playlist so that you get plays. It's like the band are now the playlisters are the ones in charge, and the band are the people that are asking to go on the playlists.
Yeah, I love how you brought up that for the bands, you know, if you like this, you'll like this. That kind of stuff too is so funny to me, because as soon as I heard you guys, the first thing I do when I hear a band that I kind of grab a hold on and say, okay, this is going to be what I'm going to be listening to for a while now. I read everything, I find everything, and you know, I'm reading things, and one thing had you for fans of Jimmy Eat World, Def Havana, and Hot Mulligan, and literally I stopped for a second and I was like, well, Hot Mulligan's completely fucking different sounding than Jimmy Eat World and Def Havana,
Yeah.
and then I read another article and it says you guys are for fans of Thursday, Taking Back Sunday, and My Chemical Romance. And I'm like, okay, My Chemical Romance is not anything like fucking Taking Back Sunday or Thursday. And Thursday is not like anything like, I'm like, who is sitting there being like, oh, well, if you're fans of music, like that's really what I would write. If you're fans of music, you'll like this band.
But this is that thing that you kind of touched on before, of where if you listen to a song and you just listen to the song for what it is, so you might listen to the lyrics, or you might listen to the kind of mathy guitars that we have in there. That's all that these people are doing, but they're just putting it out there in the form of bands, right? So you get that first one, the Jimmy Eat World thing. I would assume that they took that because of kind of like the hooky choruses, right?
Yeah.
And then the Hot Mulligan, they've taken that because of the mathy guitars. And so it's just like they just break down the song. Okay, what can I hear in there? Oh, that one riff there sounded like Hot Mulligan, so let's put Hot Mulligan down. So, yeah, it happens all the time. But you know what? I don't mind it, because some of the people we've been compared to are some of my favorite bands of all time. So I'm into it.
I mean, it's not like you weren't compared to other bands, you know, that no one ever heard of, right? You were compared to some really good stuff, and for me, listening to Happiness over and over again as much as I have, I'm like, they just kind of stand on their own 2 feet, which is what I want from a band when I start to fall in love with them, and that's what I want to bring to the top, is that, hey, I don't need to compare him to, I'm just going to play a song for somebody, and this is, here you go, and that's it, and then people will be hooked. So that's where I look at it.
Yeah, man. I mean, one thing I will say, at least the people like from the magazines and the press stuff where they do this thing where it might say like Jimmy Eat World and Hot Mulligan, like at least you know they've listened to the song. Spotify, on the other hand, I noticed that the people that people that it says we are like, I can't remember what the section's called when you scroll down. Anyway, it's always the bands that we've been on tour with. And they're not always bands that are anything like us. So, for example, we did Europe this summer with Less Than Jake and Bowling for Soup. We sound nothing like those bands, but they're like for fans of Bowling for Soup and Less Than Jake.
Yeah. And I've seen that before too. Like there's, and for those 2 bands too, which is awesome, because Less Than Jake and Bowling for Soup have done some really good stuff of bringing on some opening acts that aren't anything like them. You know, they did it over here with a band I've had on the show, Cliff Diver. Like they're nothing like them, and I think that's awesome for older bands that are, you know, pretty much established and have their fans. I think it's hard for me to ever think Less Than Jake's going to get some new fans, right? They've been around for so long that they are bringing up some, hey, we like these bands too, and they're different than us, but hopefully you're going to enjoy them for being here early.
Yeah, it's cool. It's awesome that they did that. And it was obviously kind of like a band like Bowling for Soup taking a small UK band on tour in Europe. It's like an experience that we just wouldn't get anywhere else. You know, it's like they put us in front of crowds that we had absolutely no business playing in front of in countries that we'd never been in. Do you know what I mean? So that was crazy and really cool of them to have done that.
Yeah. Well, and don't sell yourself short. You do have that business of playing in front of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been there, and someone wouldn't have brought you with them, right? So someone did believe that you belong there and have all the business in the world of playing in front of crowds like that. So don't sell yourself short, and don't stay an emo kid right now and pander to the people on the other side.
I don't know, man. It's like it's just, yeah. I guess sometimes I think I'm still feel. It's weird because like we go on tour for a few. Excuse me. We go on tour for a few weeks, and it's like living one version of my life, and then I come home and I play Baldur's Gate for a few weeks, and I'm living a different version of my life. and the two are just so different from each other that I just kind of feel it. Yeah, sometimes I have to pinch myself to believe the reality that of the things we do sometimes.
Well, listen, I think from listening to the album as much as I have, I think it was well deserved for you to be in front of those audiences and giving your gift to many people who have never heard you before. Because I think it's so important that when you create something as good as happiness, that in the world we live in, it's so hard to get it in front of people, right? And that's why we do what we do here. And after a while and after years of doing this show, I'm kind of, at times I regret calling the show Hidden Tracks. It's just because I grew up with hidden tracks on CDs, and it was bands that I always thought were a household name, but when I mentioned them to somebody, they've never heard them, and that kind of like hurt me, because there's so many great musicians and so many great bands out there that don't have that opportunity to get their music in front of people when they create something as spectacular as happiness. So,
dude, thank you. That's such kind words. I mean, like even this conversation that I'm having with you, it's wild to me that there's somebody, on the other side of the ocean that is listening to Beauty School. It's wild to me. It's just insane.
Well, it's important what you do, and I think finding stuff and finding music is such I love that joy and feeling of finding something new, right? You can't replace it. It's really hard to, when you find something you love and you're like, oh my God, these guys are great. Like last night, I was spinning your record again, and my wife's sitting there, and all of a sudden I see her head bob, and I'm like, that's all I'm looking for.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, she's not even into every single thing I am. So it's always nice that when all of a sudden I look over and her head's bobbing, I'm like, there it is. That's what I'm looking for. That's what somebody just not even knowing that the music is infectious. And it's so important. And what you do is important as an artist. And that's all I want people to hear it. I want people to have that moment of being like, wow, this is really fucking important, because you put heart and soul and time into the music you're creating, and it's important to get it out there. So when someone attaches to it, like, I'm not the only one in the States that listens to it. I'm not, there's people all over the world that have probably heard of you, but never had the opportunity to tell you how awesome it is and to say thank you for what it is you do.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that's the kind of thing that still blows my mind. Like I almost don't even know how to respond to something like that, because yeah, I wish there was a way of knowing and speaking to everybody that has sort of given our band the time, because yeah, it just means the world to us, and we just never expected it. We never expected to put an album out in the first place, and yeah, it's amazing.
Well, don't stop now. That's all I'm going to say. Don't stop.
Oh no, we can't stop now. We're contractually obliged to keep going for a little while.
Now, for someone that's never heard Beauty School, what song of yours that you currently have out in the world would you play for them? That, if you meet a stranger, you tell them you're in a band, and they say, "Oh, what do you sound like?" What song of yours would you play for them that you would think best describes Beauty School?
Well, I think the obvious choice is Pawn Shop Jewels, just because it's kind of the fan favorite, and it's the live favorite, and it comes straight in with that sort of bouncy riff that's almost like a pop punk riff, but then has the mathy guitar hooks over the top of it, and even though it wouldn't be my personal choice of my favorite one on the record, it tends to be the one that most easily grabs people in. So whenever someone's like, "Oh, you're in a band, play me a song," I'm always like, "Check this one out," and then they usually like it pretty quickly.
Okay,
But if you
then
would
what's
go
your
on,
favorite then? Yeah, because that can be too different, right? I have my three favorite on the album that I would just say, here's three songs that I think best describes, and it's not, and Pawn Shop Jewels isn't one of them. So
yeah, I think my favorite on the record is probably the song Ekime. Um, I just think that just from a writer's perspective, like I just love the way that the song flows. I love how it sort of crescendos into that big end point, and thematically in terms of the lyrics as well, it's something that I feel very strongly about, and it's also a theme that, I mean, you won't you can't experience this yet, but thematically the theme of that song is a theme that carries over even more so into the new stuff that we're writing and the new things that we're putting together. So I think that for me, like obviously people who hear Happiness and what beauty school is now to the world is kind of like 2 years behind where we are at behind the scenes, the things that we're creating. And I think Ekime kind of best bridges the movement between what happiness is and what the next thing's going to be.
right, that was my second out of my three that I had. So
Oh, go on then. What are the other two? I need to know.
Take It Slow and Keep Close.
Oh, amazing. Okay, yeah. So Take It Slow. Let me tell you an interesting story about that one. That song. So when we sent the demos across to the label, they were like, "We love it. We want to sign you on for the record, but we want one more single, and you've basically got a week to write it." And that was Take It Slow. We absolutely like we just shot that song out in a week, and then it became the lead single on the album. Like we put that first on the record, and then we put that out as our first video to the world. It's one
And
of those things again of like when you're not trying, it happens.
yeah, that's a fact. And song placement on albums is so important to me. And Take It Slow, I mean, it really doesn't take it slow like the title calls it. It brings you directly into who Beauty School is for me. It's you're in for a wild ride for the album.
Yeah.
Like, and you're just going to find things that you're going to attach yourself to as you go through it. And I think that first song to open an album, it's kind of poignant. Like, and I've been in that, my whole life where and especially in today's world, if you're not catching somebody immediately,
Yeah,
you lost them forever, right? It's one of those things. So
yeah, 100%. That's how it goes now, unfortunately. Which did you say was the other song?
Keep Close.
Oh, but Keep Close is the little interlude, right? The
Yeah.
minute-long interlude.
Yeah.
Oh, you like that one?
I love it.
Amazing.
I think it's
like,
a perfect placement. And
that,
Dry Socket's awesome as well. Dry Socket.
that was actually going to be the start of the record, but based on the thing that you said, about it not being catching people quick enough, that was kind of why we decided to move Take It Slow to the beginning. It was going to open with Keep Close into Ekime.
So what I did was when I sent over some songs to my friends, I for the little interlude, I did Take It Slow, then Keep Close and Ekime. So it's like, here you go. And it just to open you up to things. I create, what's funny too is I'm such a music nerd that I'll take an entire album and then I'll reposition where I think the song should be,
Yeah. Yeah. So where would, on your version of Happiness, where would Junior land? Do you think it's an album closer?
I would probably put it second or third.
Oh,
last.
really?
Yeah. Second or third to last. Yeah.
What would be closer then? I'm just taking over the interview here. I need
Yeah,
to
no, you are. I might have closed with Dry Socket.
Oh, cool. Yeah. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, because it leaves you wanting more. And that's usually what I like. There are a lot of bands take a slow song, put it at the end to end the album. I want something that's going to fuck your mind up and make you be like, I need more of this band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Interesting.
Now, when you found those bands early on in your life, like the Brand News and the Taking Back Sundays, were you already playing music at that time, or was that something that pushed you forward to want to go figure out how to do what those people are doing?
Um, I think I was playing music in a very sort of juvenile way. Like I had, you know, you know, we had my friends from school, and we would, I wanted to be in a band, but we would just play 3 chord punk songs, and we never. I don't think we ever wrote a song together. It was just.
All right, but what was that band name? Because you had to have spent a lot of time coming up with a band name when you first tried to want to create music.
Well, okay, so we had 2. One of them was The Story of a Plastic Hero. I have no idea why, and I can't actually remember who came up with the title. But that was the first gig I ever played in any band ever. That was the name of that band.
I actually fucking love that.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. Because it's so different.
Yeah, I mean, it always sticks with me, that one. I don't know why. I always remember that one. There was a couple of other like little bands that I was in, but one of them was literally just insert name here, and that shit makes me cringe.
Yeah, I don't fucking like that one.
Yeah, and then but that was it. That was kind of like my experiences, like as a kid, or like a really young,
Yeah.
like 12, like just gone to high school, kid, and then. But for me, it was like the scene where I lived in Leeds, where I still do live. Back then, there were so many good small bands that were all a few years older than me. So I would be at gigs all the time and dreaming of doing it, but just didn't really have the means or the skill set to do it. And it was that sort of moving that branch of music, like Manchester Orchestra,
Yeah.
Taking Back Sunday, Brand New, all of that kind of like was my enlightening sort of moment where I was like, this is what I want to do. Like all the other stuff I enjoy, but this is the thing.
So here's a two-parter then. What was the first show you ever saw, and what was the first show you got to choose to go to? Or are they one and the same?
Yeah, they're one and the same. So my first ever concert gig that I went to was, I must have been like, I think I must have been like 11 years old, and I convinced my mum to take me to see Korn at the Manchester Arena. And it was really sweet, actually, looking back. She bought a black leather jacket, because she was like, well, I don't want to look like I'm out of place. I think she thought that.
I don't want to look like a mom.
Yeah, but she did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was my first show that I went to.
Wow.
And then, but then after that, I guess the next few shows I went to were all kind of DIY local shows, like
Yeah.
band called Union Jackass. Yeah, those were my first memories of shows.
How about your favorite show you ever got to see? And it'd probably be really hard to pick, but
Oh God,
yeah,
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know, to be honest. I think there's a number of shows that I guess really resonated with me. I think my favorite show that I have ever been to that kind of stuck with me for the longest was actually much more recent, and it was do you know Bon Iver?
Yes. Yep. Justin
Yeah,
Vernon. Yeah.
Justin Vernon. Just saw them. I've always been a big fan, but never seen them live. Saw them at the Leeds Arena, and it was just moving. The whole thing was just like, it kind of made me feel like it was so good, but it was almost like I came away from it thinking, wow, I am not even a musician. Like that guy is
It's so hard when you see
unbelievable.
professionals, right? And
Yeah.
when I mean professional, when you see a band like Bon Iver or where Manchester Orchestra is right now, Like Manchester Orchestra has come to the point where anytime I see them, which is a lot, it's how the fuck do they keep getting better? And they've kind of moved into that. We're now a professional band and we're on a different level.
Yeah. They really, really are on a different level as well. They actually just got announced for 2000 Trees, which is a UK festival. They just got announced on that yesterday. So
nice.
I'm hoping that we can get on that as well, so that I don't have to buy a ticket.
In your life, do you have a band that you always turn to? You know, I look at it as Rolling. I say this all the time, but Rolling Stone calls it your favorite band. I don't. I look for bands that never let me down. It's like when I don't know what I want to listen to, I always kind of turn to one or two of the same bands to listen to because I just know I'll never be disappointed. Do you have a band or two in your life like that just never lets you down, that you always turn to when you need music?
Yeah, I have. Well, the one that I listen to kind of the most at the moment, and one of the only bands that I can comfortably just hit shuffle play on Spotify and shuffle the whole discography, is a band called Pinegrove.
Yep. They're local to me.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, they're literally grew up and started playing music 15 minutes away from me. So,
well, there you are. They're just unbelievable musicians, and I think for me, I found that like kind of as I've got older, the music that I play in the band, like I really truly do love that music, but I don't. I often find myself gravitating towards music that I don't play in the band to listen to. And Pinegrove is kind of that, like that sort of. I mean, there's a broad, there's like a slight link between the two in terms of, it's quite like emotionally driven, and lyrically it's that's the kind of thing I like. But musically, it's very different, and they write songs incredibly differently to how I would ever write a song. Like sometimes I'll sit down and think, oh, I want to write a track that sounds like The Wonder Years, and that is something that isn't difficult for me to do. But there's been many times where I've sat down and thought, I'm going to write a track like Pinegrove, and I've yet to succeed in creating one that sounds anything like Pinegrove.
Well, I think it's important to like other music than what you're creating. Look at some. I can tell, when I hear a punk band, right? I can tell all they listen to is punk. Kind of when you hear their music, there's nothing wrong with that. I think that the depth that comes with creating music is because of the different styles that maybe people in bands listen to. Like I've had bands on where the drummers, listens to Neil Young and Bob Dylan, and the bass player loves EDM, and the guitarist, loves REM, but it creates, when they come together, they create this sound because they all pull from different areas. It just brings depth to a band instead of just, okay, here's the three of us, we're a punk rock band, we listen to is punk rock all the time, all day, and this is what we create. You kind of can almost tell in their music that that's all they pay attention to.
Oh yeah, I fully 100% agree with that. And I think that all of my favorite bands, I can always hear like influences from outside of the genre that they're creating. I always think that, like, when I listen to the Menzingers, they are a punk band, but you can hear the sort of folk influences in the vocals and the melodies and things like that. And that's the kind of shit that I love. I absolutely love that when I can hear, an outside influence within the genre that they're creating.
Yeah, and that also comes with age and maturity, right? Like there's always those moments where, I mean, you look at the Menzingers' first album, it's a punk album. And now they're kind of an Americana band almost, like where I when we're starting to throw labels and genres on, I'm like, now they're creating, rock Americana. And they started out as a punk band, but when you mature and your listening starts to change, when you start to listen to different things, everything starts to change and make sense, and it morphs, and it creates this amazing sound that I think just opens up. And what it does as well is it brings more people closer to you. I always like to say this, that if someone shits on a band because their sound changed from one album to the next, you can't be mad at them. What you fell in love with them for is still there, and you can go to it at any time. It didn't go anywhere. It's
Yeah.
still there for you to listen to. So maybe try and grow with them. There's sometimes there's bands that pigeonhole themselves and they never change their sound. And it's like, for me, there are bands like that, you know, for 5 albums in a row, I'm like, okay, it's just a continuation of the last album. Like, I'm almost about to check out on this because you're now 40 and you're still creating that 20-year-old music you created. I'm kind of not with you anymore.
Yeah, I feel that. I really do. And I think sometimes as well, like you said that it's something that, becomes more prevalent as you grow older, but also I think sometimes you just instinctively feel that when you're younger, but you just don't know how to explain it or describe it. Because um, I remember listening to Motion City Soundtrack. What's the second record by them? Those guys called? I can't remember. But anyway, that track with "Let's Get Fucked Up and Die" on it.
Yeah.
If you listen to that album like as a piece of work,
Yeah. Commit
I
This to
remember.
Memory was the album.
Commit This to Memory. That's the one. I became obsessed with that when I was younger, and when I listen back to it now, I almost realize that it's the same thing. It's because the vocal melodies were so unique, because they're almost they're not really pop punk melodies. They're borrowed from somewhere else. They're borrowed from, like, like they've got a lot of that sort of, I don't know, like they're just not, they're just so unusual. So when I was younger, I didn't realize what I was listening to, but I knew it was something different to what was available, or what the other stuff I was listening to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like, you bring up Motion City Soundtrack, and that's a band where, so I have a extremely judgmental friend. So if any of my friends are listening to this, they'll know who I'm talking about, but extremely judgmental when it comes to music, and will just shit on anything that is like beautiful. But at the same time, they'll say a certain band and I'll be like, how the fuck do you like them? But you're shitting on this other band, and Motion City Soundtrack was one of them. And they were like, dude, you try to play me Motion City I'm like, yeah, a long time ago. Like, dude, they're so fucking awesome. I'm like, fuck you, man. Like, what? Like, this doesn't make sense to me. Like, it doesn't. And but I think it is, as you said, there's other things in it that aren't really the genre that it falls under. It's just like how I say, what you got, like, you stand on your own 2 feet, and you're out there different, because there's more complexity to it than you're hearing through a simple ear. Like, if you listen to something through a simple ear, you're not going to hear the complexities in the songs that could draw you to it. So you got to listen to it in many different ways and many different atmospheres for you to kind of fall in love with stuff too. And that's where I don't think people take the time to truly love music. They just want background noise and something to move along to. But if you sit down and truly let that music embody you and get to you, you're like, holy shit, I never noticed that in that song before. Your world could be completely different.
Yeah, like, you're preaching to the choir there, because me, like, for example, you know, me and Charlie, the drummer in the band, both of us love music, but we listen to them. We will listen to a lot of the same bands, but hear completely different things. And that's because we're both searching for different things. He is obviously searching for the rhythms and the way that the song moves and things like that. He will hear a drum take on a track and be like, listen to this, listen to the drums on this sounds amazing. And I'll be listening to the same track, I'll be like, this track is fucking boring.
Yeah.
But because I'm listening to sort of like the lyrics and the melodies and sort of like how they interlock with the rhythms of the guitars and things like that, and just like interesting things about the way a song's written. And I think, like, that's two different people who both really love music and listen to it in different ways. But then, like you were saying, there's people who really just kind of listen to songs just as the package, just as the whole thing, and they don't ever really pick apart what's within it. And that's just an alien concept to me. That's not something that I ever do. If I'm into a song, like I'm sort of methodically going through the track and being like, what have they done here? Like, how have they done that? And can I sort of lift that? Not lift it, but like, can I like use that sort of writing? And I go back to the Motion City soundtrack and that Commit This to Memory record. The track Let's Get Fucked Up and Die. Well, first of all, Let's Get Fucked Up and Die, the title of that, if you were to give it to a pop punk kid around that time, because they were sort of in and around bands like Newfound Glory and that sort of thing, they would assume that it's like an on the nose pop punk track. But then if you listen to the track itself, it's like it doesn't really, the song doesn't have a chorus. It's just 3 verses back to back. The first verse starts off on acoustic guitar with like brushes on the drums. The second verse comes in and it's a little bit heavier, and the third one comes in and it's full electric guitar. And even though it runs around that hook of Let's Get Fucked Up and Die, because that's how they start each verse, it's actually like the subject matter is, he's talking about like struggling with addiction and letting the people around you down and things like that. And so when you like take that song on surface level versus the way that I just described it, they're 2 entirely different tracks.
Yeah.
And I love it when bands do that. And that is something that I guess we kind of try and do all the time in the stuff that we write. Like even our happy songs, like sonically, they're not lyrically. Like there's always that juxtaposition and that contrast, and just that's something that I absolutely love about music and something that I try and carry in everything that we do as a band as well.
Well, that's a big thing too. I usually point to like an Elliott Smith, who people are like, oh my God, he's so sad. I'm like, if you truly listen to his songs, yes, it's in a key of sadness, but the lyrics are uplifting. Like there's a lot of, that's what art is. And for us here in the States, there are a lot of schools getting rid of the arts and cutting back on all that kind of stuff. And because I don't think that people really take the time. The same thing with music. I look into, art and paintings. Like the longer you stare at it, the more you'll find. So it's the same thing with music. The longer you listen, the more you're going to find. And I think it's just everything gets taken for granted, right? Like, it's just simple. It's just a song. But if you truly immerse yourself into it, there is a major artistry to, of course, there are punk rock songs that are, 3 chords and that's it. That's your song. It's a minute and a half and that's it. But there is so much complexity in music that I think it just gets taken for granted, and people don't ever want to take the time to learn it or see it. So that's kind of why they get rid of stuff like these programs in schools, and you have to have outside programs like School of Rock and stuff like that for kids to go be artists that still want to do it. So
I think I was on a call with we were on a call with the label a couple of days ago. We were talking about, what's next and things. And one of the label directors was like, he said something, I can't remember the exact number. It was something like 180,000 songs are uploaded to Spotify every day. And I think that's part of the problem. I think there's just too much as well. There's too much to digest, and not enough that sort of guides people and listeners.
Well, the problem is there's no filter.
Yeah. That's kind of the thing. And
that's really what it is. There's no way that 180,000 songs should be put out into the universe, because in those 180,000, there's probably 180 that are gems.
Yeah. But this is the thing. It's like, if you get put in like the world's biggest library and you're asked to find the beauty in every single book, there's just not enough time in the world to find everything that, and that's why sort of the attention span of listeners now just, I don't know, is depleting.
Well, because they have the option, right? I go back to the old days where, I spent a lot of money and I have to buy a CD or a tape, and, I wasn't going to have more money to buy another one for another month. So I had to be committed to the purchase and listen to it. And now someone can listen to 4 seconds of a song and skip it and never go back to it, which is, I think it's detrimental not only to the industry but to the artists who, maybe don't see the numbers that you would have if someone took the time to give you a chance, right? That's where the problem is, that being able to just say Alexa skip, like, has ruined a lot of,
Yeah.
I think, people's and artists' lives. It really has.
I think that's where, that's where the live industry is just so important now. That's where like, all of the success that we have had, really, bar a few people like yourself, it's come from seeing the live show and seeing, what the band is like live, and selling records at the merch desk, and that having that side of it is like, it's the savior. And also, you don't realize, but I mean, you personally probably realize, but that the world doesn't realize that there is a whole industry of fans that are thriving and that are successful, um, based on essentially just the people that turn out to the shows, and their commitment to touring. Because they might not have the most players on Spotify, and they might not have the most buzz around them on the internet, but they're still successful purely. I suppose it depends how you measure success as well, but like, it's based purely on the music, and there's a purity to that which I absolutely love.
Yeah, and I make a point of live music it's everything to me. I travel a lot for work. Last week I was in Ohio. First thing I do is I go on the app Bands in Town, tells me who's in the area. I was like, all right, these bands are in the area. I'm not a fan of the band Cradle of Filth, but I'm going to a live show because I never know what I'm going to see, and if there's going to be another band on that bill that I'm going to fall in love with. And sure as shit, uh, metal band from my home state that I'd never heard of, that's been around since the 90s, played, and I was like, these guys are fucking amazing.
Hell yeah,
How did
love
I
that.
never hear? But that's why I go, and that's why I make a point. I'm like, hey, I'm either going to spend $20 doing something fucking stupid while I'm traveling, or $20 and I get to go see fucking live music for the night. That's what I'm going to do. And I do it all the time. I'm going away for work tomorrow. I already have plans to go to a show that night instead of sitting in my fucking hotel room doing nothing.
Amazing. The world needs more people like you, Shane.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's one of me. Sometimes I wish I could clone myself just to be able to go to multiple shows at the same time that are going on. Now, this conversation has gone really fast. Wow. Here's a question: if the type of music you play, this is always something that people get pigeonholed what they listen to. But is there a certain artist or music that you listen to that someone would be really surprised that a kid in an emo band listens to?
Um, I don't think so. I don't think there's anything that would really super shock people. I mean, I have a very broad music taste, and I'm into a lot of EDM music. But I kind of that's more just because I like going to EDM raves and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really something I sit at home and listen to.
Well, I don't think you can. I think EDM, people who listen to EDM and like EDM, my view on it is they love the atmosphere. Same thing with like the Grateful Dead. I don't understand it. They're not good musicians. They don't make good music, but you love going to the show because that's what it's about. It's not about sitting at home listening to it. It's about the experience.
Yes, that's exactly it.
It's the soundtrack to the experience you're having. That's what it is.
And I think, other than that, I don't really have any surprises. I wish I did. I think most of the stuff I listen to, you can link back in some way to the music that I listen to. I like a lot of old school folk music. I like some country music. And the one thing I really just don't like is just generic, sort of the generic British pop music. I don't know if you've heard much of that, but there's just it's just kind of painful to listen to, and it sounds every song sounds exactly the same. But yeah, I think I think for me, it's anything that evokes some sort of feeling within me. So anything atmospheric, like I love a lot of. Have you heard of Sigur Rós?
Yes.
So I
I've
love
seen
that
them and
stuff.
cried at their show, same as I did at Bon Iver. So yeah.
Yeah, like Bon Iver, Sigur Rós. That's kind of like that's probably as surprising as it gets with me.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to fall asleep to Sigur Rós. Like that would
Oh,
I would put it on in the background and just be like, all right. It would, and I'd had the greatest, most wildest dreams too
yeah,
to the
like
soundtrack of Sigur Rós.
transcend into some
Yeah.
some like alternate plane.
Yeah. All right. Here's a big one. World's going to end in 5 minutes. Meteors crashing into the earth. We're all going to die in 5 minutes, but you have to listen to one song. What song are you listening to?
Oh, this is tough. This is tough. I have to listen to one song. I think it's gonna be Digital Bath by Deftones.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I
Just
like that.
I absolutely love Deftones. Always have. They were so they were a product of pigeonholing. You know, they were put in that new metal squad with like Limp Bizkit and Korn and all
Yeah,
those.
and
And yeah,
they were their own band. They were their own genre. You know,
I
I
mean,
look at
still
them. They
now
were their own genre. Really.
you've got bands like Loathe who are somewhat similar, and these other bands that have kind of adopted the shoegaze style, but with really low down tuned guitars. But nobody still ever really does it like Deftones. Like Deftones are
No.
just their own entity, and that's something that can't be overlooked, in my opinion. I think that they're just geniuses for doing that, and yeah, always been a massive fan. And I think, yeah, if I really had to choose one track to listen to, it'd definitely be a Deftones track. But I think
That's
we'll go
awesome.
with Digital Bath because that's the one I want
Awesome.
to listen to now.
I love it.
Yeah, man.
So, before we move into our last segment of the show, I want to say a truly heartfelt thank you for what it is you do. What you do matters. I said it earlier in the show, but it really does, and it matters to me, and I know it matters to other people that don't have the opportunity to tell you like I do. But we just want you to keep creating, and we're going to keep listening, and we're going to be behind you. Until you're done, and hopefully it won't be for quite a while. But for those people who may not know you, I'd love to give you the opportunity right now to tell them how to find everything that Beauty School does and how to keep up with what it is you guys are doing moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, firstly, thank you for that. Honestly, it means the world. There is nothing that I could say to like show my true appreciation for for people like you and whoever is out there listening to Beauty School. So yeah, I think I mean you can listen to Beauty School in all the in all the places that you can use to listen to music, Spotify, Apple Music, all of those. Obviously our website as well. You can keep up with tour and whatever's going on there, which is beautyschool.band. Yeah, I guess YouTube as well. I think one of the things that we want to do is kind of start putting out a little bit more content just to kind of keep people just keep people in the loop. I think
Yeah.
we're a very honest band, and we're not afraid of just kind of showing whatever's going on and what we're doing and what we want to talk about. So I think management are keen for us to kind of explore that a little bit on the internet. So we'll see. I don't know how it's going to go. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, listen, we'll push out all your handles and stuff when we put this episode out and promote it. So you got us to help you along the way to get this music out there. So I'm really excited for for people who haven't heard you to hear you and to fall in love with you like I have, and especially with this conversation. I've had an absolute blast, and I hope to do this again one day when you are maybe in person, when you go on tour in the States and I get to see you in person. That'll be
I would love that.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So, but we are in our final segments where you guys were featured. It is our weekly threes. It's 3 things that we're listening to right now that you would like people to check out. So you get to give 3 and then I give my 3.
Cool. Okay. So, what are we, 3 tracks?
3 bands or music
bands.
or whatever you're listening to that you'd like other people to hear what you're listening to.
Let me just. There's too much. I'm gonna have to pull up my my Spotify and see what we've been listening to.
That's what everybody always does, and I like to catch them off guard so people aren't prepared. One time, someone just ran them all off. I was like, "You listened to the show and you were prepared, and I don't appreciate that." So,
okay, three things I've been listening to recently. The first is the band Anxious. They are, I guess they're a small emo punk band. I think their roots were in a hardcore band.
yep, yeah, they're emo adjacent, and they've grown up. Really,
Yeah.
I've gotten to see them when they were hardcore or when they were kind of emo, and then I got to see a beautiful acoustic show that they did. So,
Yeah. So they've just dropped a new tune recently, and I just cannot stop listening to it. It's really, really good. An album. This is an album that I think people should listen to. That took me a while, but I absolutely love it now. A band called Fireworks, who I think Fireworks released the album Gospel a few, like, I don't know, like maybe 10 years ago or something now. And I think that album was probably my favorite sort of pop punk phase 2 record, if you want to call it. You know, this is kind of like the One Year Story So Far era of pop punk. And Gospel by Fireworks was amazing. And then they kind of went away. They did one more album after that, disappeared, and then they've come back last year, or maybe it was even this year. Yeah, with a new record. And when I first heard it, I wasn't overly like a big fan of the production on it. I think it's kind of washy and it's not my favorite production. But when you kind of get down to it and listen to the tracks, especially the track Mega Church, that the album's actually really, really good. So yeah, Mega Church by Fireworks. Well, the album, but Mega Church in particular. And then the third thing I think people should listen to is a really, really tiny band. Hang on a minute. Sorry, I'm
you're fine, man. You're fine.
I've forgotten the name of the band that I want to push, but
maybe that's why they're tiny.
They are like really small, yeah, but they're really cool, like really strange. Hang on a minute. That's it. Apogee. So I met this thing. They're a really small band from Leeds called Apogee. They're crazy. Like, it might not be everybody's thing. It's kind of like,
how do you spell that so we can get it to the right people?
It's Apogee.
All right. So they're just a crazy, wacky, tiny band.
Yeah, but they're kind of like hardcore, but like really heavy hardcore music with really interesting and crazy, like guitar riffs and stuff. But the singer doesn't scream; he's kind of just got melodic voice. It's really strange to explain, but yeah, check them out. I heard them. I met the singer on a video shoot I was doing a few weeks ago, and yeah, I don't know. There's something about their music that's just hooked me in, especially the new stuff. So yeah, check those out.
I will definitely check that out. All right, my 3 for this week. My first one is a band called 2319, and that's all spelt out. So spelling it out instead of putting in the numbers. 2319. It's an EP called All This Love. If you like Sweet Pill, it's members of Sweet Pill that are in the band. It's really awesome. Check it out. Next is a band called Fox Teeth. Through the Blue is the name of the album. Just a great indie rock band. And last but not least is a band called Bad Planning. The name of the album is Et Fortes. It's ETFORTES. Something on the album for everyone. If you like punk, if you like hardcore, if you like emo, there's a song for everyone on that album. So those are my
I've not
for this week.
Heard a single one of those. I'm just jotting them down quickly on my notes. Awesome. But listen, again, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate what it is you do. Love the album. Can't wait for more people to hear. Can't wait to see what you come up with next, because that's always my favorite thing, is having something to look forward to. So I'm really excited to see what you guys come up with next. And I just wish you guys all the best. And I hope you guys get to be screaming from the mountaintops on some killer shows and get all the credit you deserve for what you've already created. So thank you again so much, Joe. No, man, thank you. Really appreciate it. It's been fun. And hopefully we'll get to do this again sometime. Like you said, maybe in person, if we can find a way to afford to come across to the States.
Yeah, someone will bring you here. Don't worry about it. I have all the faith.
Awesome.
But everybody, you know what time it is now. It's time to go out, listen to Beauty School, and have a great fucking time.
Adjacent graves, a single primrose, lonely
Thanks again for tuning into the Hidden Tracks podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's show. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HiddenTracks99. Also, send all your submissions to myhiddentracks99@gmail.com. Tune in next week. You may find your new favorite band, and don't forget to go out and have a great fucking time.